Captain Zeltar stood on the bridge of the Harmonious Light, watching the stars drift past through the main viewing screen. His blue skin had a soft glow under the gentle lighting system designed for Valari eyes. The ship moved silently through space, its smooth white hull reflecting starlight like polished crystal. "Captain," called Science Officer Nimba from her station. Her long fingers danced across the control panel with practiced ease. "We are approaching the target system. Initial scans show nothing unusual." Zeltar nodded, his head tentacles swaying with the movement. The Galactic Cooperative had sent them to explore this distant corner of space. Most star systems out here were empty or held only dead rocks. Sometimes they found useful minerals or interesting phenomena to study. It was peaceful work, exactly what the Valari loved most. "Begin detailed scanning," he ordered. "Let us see what secrets this system holds." The bridge crew worked quietly. They were a mixed group from different worlds, all members of the cooperative. There was Nimba, the Valari scientist, Korth, the gentle giant from Thessia Prime, and several others from peaceful garden worlds where the biggest danger was a sudden rainstorm. "Captain," Nimba's voice carried a note of confusion, "I am detecting something strange in the third planet of this system." "What kind of strange?" Zeltar moved closer to her station. The planet shows signs of massive atmospheric disturbances, violent weather patterns that should make life impossible. "But," she paused, checking her readings twice, "but I am also detecting what might be artificial structures and energy signatures that look like technology." Korth laughed from his position at the communications station. "Impossible. No intelligent life could evolve on a world with such harsh conditions. The weather alone would kill any civilization before it could develop." Zeltar studied the data flowing across the screens. The planet was indeed violent. Massive storms raged across its surface. The continent showed evidence of volcanic activity, earthquakes, and extreme temperature variations. Ice covered both poles, while the middle regions showed desert and jungle conditions that changed with brutal seasonal cycles. "Perhaps we should investigate closer," he decided. "Even if there is no life, such an unusual world might teach us something new." As they moved deeper into the system, their instruments began picking up more details. The planet had a single large moon that caused massive tidal forces. Solar radiation levels varied wildly due to the planet's unusual orbit. Everything about this world screamed death and destruction. "Wait," Nimba suddenly straightened at her station. "Captain, I am detecting multiple large objects in orbit around the Death World. They appear to be ships." The main screen shifted to show the third planet, now much closer. Zeltar felt his skin grow cold as he saw what surrounded the hostile world. Dozens of massive vessels hung in space, their dark hulls looking nothing like the elegant ships of the cooperative. These vessels were blocky and thick, covered in what looked like armor plating. Weapon ports dotted their surfaces like the eyes of predators. "By the peaceful stars," whispered Engineer Vexel from his station. "What manner of beings could survive on such a world?" Before anyone could answer, the ship's warning systems suddenly began screaming. Red lights flashed across every control panel as the Harmonious Light shuddered violently. "Engine failure!" Vexel shouted over the alarms. "Solar flare activity has overloaded our primary systems." The ship lurched sideways as artificial gravity fluctuated. Crew members grabbed onto their stations to avoid falling. The elegant lighting dimmed as power systems struggled to compensate for the damage. "Can you repair it?" Zeltar demanded, fighting to keep his balance. "Not quickly," Vexel replied, his tentacles already working frantically at his controls. "The flare was much stronger than our sensors predicted. We need at least 6 hours for emergency repairs, maybe more." "Captain," Korth called from communications, his voice tight with fear. "Those unknown vessels are moving. They have detected us." On the main screen, several of the dark ships were changing course, moving away from the Death World and toward the Harmonious Light. Their approach was steady and purposeful, like hunters closing in on wounded prey. "Send a distress signal," Zeltar ordered. "Emergency frequency, all cooperative channels." "Already transmitting," Korth confirmed. "But we are very far from any cooperative fleet. Help will not arrive for days, possibly weeks." The unknown ships drew closer. Now the crew could see more details of their construction. The vessels looked like they were built for war rather than exploration. Heavy armor, multiple weapon systems, and designs that prioritized strength over beauty. They were the ships of a species that expected violence and had prepared for it. "Captain," Nimba's voice was barely above a whisper. "I am receiving a response to our distress signal, but it is not from the cooperative." "Who is responding?" The signal identifies itself as Terran Defense Fleet. They claim to be from the third planet, the Death World. Silence fell over the bridge. Everyone stared at the screen showing the approaching ships. The impossible was happening. Not only did intelligent life exist on that hellish world, but they had developed space travel. And now, they were coming to investigate the aliens who had stumbled into their territory. "What should we do, Captain?" asked Korth, his large hands trembling over the communication controls. Zeltar looked around at his crew. They were scientists and explorers, not soldiers. They had no weapons beyond basic defensive systems. Their ship was designed for peaceful research, not combat. And now they were helpless in space, while unknown creatures from a death world approached in vessels that looked like instruments of war. Everything about the situation terrified him. The galactic databases contained no information about any successful civilization arising from such hostile conditions. The few times explorers had encountered worlds with similar environments, they had found only simple life forms struggling to survive. Never intelligence, never technology, never spacefaring capability. What kind of beings could not only survive, but thrive in such conditions? What would they want with a disabled research vessel? The crew of the Harmonious Light had nothing valuable to offer warriors from a death world. They were just peaceful scientists who had stumbled into the wrong system at the wrong time. "Send a response," Zeltar finally decided. "Tell them we are peaceful researchers from the Galactic Cooperative. Our ship is damaged and we need assistance." "Are you sure that is wise?" Vexel asked. "We know nothing about these Terrans. They could be hostile." "We have no choice," the captain replied. "We cannot repair the ship quickly enough to escape, and we cannot fight vessels built for war. Our only hope is that they might be willing to help rather than destroy us." As Korth sent the message, the crew watched the approaching ships with growing dread. The vessels moved with perfect coordination, like a pack of predators that had hunted together many times before. Their formation suggested military training and combat experience that made the peaceful cooperative crews look like children playing with toys. The response came quickly, transmitted in surprisingly clear galactic standard language. "Disabled. Vessel. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet. We have received your distress signal and are moving to assist. Prepare for docking. We are coming to help." The words should have been comforting. Instead, they filled the bridge with even greater tension. Help from creatures evolved on a death world. What did that mean? What would these Terrans consider helpful? And what price would they demand for their assistance? As the first of the dark ships drew alongside the Harmonious Light, Zeltar could only hope that first contact with this unknown species would not be the last thing he and his crew ever experienced. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the TDF Indomitable, studying the damaged alien vessel on her main display. 20 years of military service had taught her to read situations quickly. The sleek white ship looked elegant and peaceful, nothing like the warships in her fleet. Its design spoke of a civilization that rarely expected trouble. "Status report," she ordered her bridge crew. "Their ship is dead in the water, ma'am," reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson from the sensor station. "Engine core is completely offline. They have minimal life support and no navigation capability." Chen nodded. The solar flare that had damaged the alien ship was the same one that had alerted her fleet to activity in this system. The humans had been conducting routine patrol exercises when their sensors picked up the electromagnetic signature of failing technology. Any signs of deception? Hidden weapons? Negative. Ship appears to be exactly what they claim, a research vessel. Crew of 12, all showing signs of stress but no hostile intent. Chen turned to her communications officer. "Commander Martinez, what do we know about these? What did they call themselves?" "Velari, ma'am. They say they represent something called the Galactic Cooperative. Database shows no previous contact with their species or this organization." "Interesting." Chen walked to the front of the bridge, her boots clicking on the metal deck plating. The Indomitable was built for function, not beauty. Every surface was designed to withstand battle damage and keep working under the worst conditions. It was a ship built by people who understood that the universe was a dangerous place. "Ma'am," called Chief Petty Officer Kim from the engineering station. "I've analyzed their distress signal. Their technology is definitely more advanced than ours in some areas, but they seem completely unprepared for emergency situations. No backup systems, no redundant power supplies." Chen smiled grimly. "Sounds like they come from somewhere a lot safer than Earth. All right, people, we have aliens in distress. Our job is to help them, learn what we can, and make sure everyone goes home alive. Commander Rodriguez, prep your boarding team. Full first contact protocols." "Yes, ma'am." "Medical team, take Dr. Okafor and her team. If they're hurt, we fix them first and ask questions later." Commander Jake Rodriguez had led dozens of boarding operations, but never anything like this. As he suited up in the docking bay, he checked his equipment. One more time. Portable power units, emergency repair tools, medical supplies, and translation software loaded on every personal device. His team was nervous, but excited. First contact with an alien species was the kind of event that happened once in a lifetime. "Remember," he addressed his crew, "these people are scared and stranded. We're here to help, not intimidate. Keep your weapons secured unless there's immediate danger. Show them the best of humanity." The airlock connected with a soft hiss. Rodriguez stepped through into the alien ship and immediately noticed the difference. Everything was smooth curves and soft lighting, designed for beings who lived in peace and comfort. It was beautiful in a way that human ships never were. A group of aliens waited in their docking bay. Rodriguez had seen pictures from their transmissions, but meeting them in person was different. The leader was tall and thin, with blue skin that seemed to glow slightly. His face was almost human-like except for the tentacles that hung from his head like elaborate hair. "I am Captain Zeltar of the research vessel Harmonious Light," the alien said in careful English. Are you truly here to help us?" Rodriguez removed his helmet and smiled. "Commander Jake Rodriguez, Terran Defense Fleet. Yes, Captain, we're here to help. Let's get your ship running again." The relief on the alien captain's face was obvious. But Rodriguez also noticed how the other aliens stayed back, watching the humans with wide eyes. They looked afraid, which puzzled him. His team was being as non-threatening as possible. "If you don't mind me asking," Rodriguez said as they walked through the ship's corridors, "why do you seem so surprised that we want to help?" Captain Zeltar exchanged glances with his crew. "Commander, your planet. Our sensors show it is what we call a death world. Extreme weather, dangerous life forms, constant natural disasters. In all our exploration of the galaxy, we have never encountered intelligent life that could survive such conditions. And you thought we'd be hostile because of where we come from? We did not know what to think. Your ships look like weapons of war." Rodriguez laughed. "Well, they are warships, but that doesn't mean we're warlike. On Earth, we learned early that the universe can be a dangerous place. We build our ships tough because we need them to work when things go wrong." They reached the engine room, where Dr. Okafor was already working with the alien engineer. The Villari, who had introduced himself as Vexel, watched in amazement as the human medical officer efficiently treated his injured crew members. "Your healer uses very direct methods," Vexel observed nervously. Dr. Okafor looked up from bandaging a crew member's arm. "Direct? Among our people, healing is done with gentle energy manipulation and careful chemical balance. You use surgical tools and inject medications directly into the body." Okafor smiled. "Sometimes the direct approach is what saves lives. Your navigator over there had internal bleeding. My gentle energy manipulation wouldn't have stopped it, but surgery did." Rodriguez started examining the damaged engine core with his engineering team. The technology was fascinating but fragile. Everything was built for efficiency and elegance, with no consideration for emergency repairs or harsh conditions. "We can fix this," announced Chief Warrant Officer Thompson after a few minutes of analysis. "But we'll need to install some temporary reinforcement. Your engine wasn't built to handle the kind of power fluctuations that solar flare caused." "How long?" asked Captain Zeltar. 6 hours, maybe 8. We'll have you running like new." As the repair work began, Rodriguez noticed how the aliens watched his team work. The humans moved with practiced efficiency, each person knowing exactly what to do without needing constant orders. They worked in shifts, never stopping, always having someone fresh to take over critical tasks. "You never rest," observed Science. Officer Nimba Rodriguez wiped sweat from his forehead. "We'll rest when the job is done. That's how we do things. But you have been working for 4 hours straight. That is beyond the safe limits for most species." "Most species didn't evolve on Earth," Rodriguez replied. "We're used to pushing ourselves when lives are at stake." Captain Zeltar approached him privately. "Commander, may I ask you something about your world?" "Of course. Our sensors show your planet has weather systems that would destroy cities, volcanic activity that would end civilizations, predatory life forms that could kill most galactic species. How does your people not only survive but prosper in such conditions?" Rodriguez thought about how to answer. "I guess we learned to adapt. When hurricanes hit, we build stronger buildings. When earthquakes happen, we design better foundations. When predators threaten us, we become better at defending ourselves. Every challenge just made us tougher. And this is why your ships look like fortresses? This is why everything we build is designed to survive the worst possible situation. We hope for the best, but plan for disasters." As the repairs continued, the aliens began to relax around the humans. They saw that these supposed death world monsters were actually disciplined professionals who took genuine pride in helping others. The humans shared their food, told stories about their families back home, and treated the alien crew with the same respect they showed their own people. "Commander Rodriguez," Captain Zeltar said as the engine repairs neared completion, "I must admit, you are not what we expected from inhabitants of a death world." "What did you expect?" "Savage warriors who take what they want by force," Rodriguez smiled. "Well, we are warriors when we need to be. But being strong doesn't mean being cruel. Earth taught us that the strongest survive by protecting those who need protection." The engine core hummed back to life, filling the alien ship with renewed power. Lights brightened, systems came online, and the crew of the Harmonious Light cheered. In relief, "Your ship is fully operational," announced Chief Thompson. "Actually better than before. We've added some backup systems that should prevent this kind of failure in the future." Captain Zeltar looked around at his restored ship, then at the humans who had made it possible. "How can we repay this kindness?" "No payment necessary," Rodriguez replied. "Just remember that not everyone from a death world is a monster. Some of us are just neighbors who happen to live in a tough neighborhood." While the repairs continued, Captain Zeltar found himself fascinated by the human crew. He had invited several of them to share a meal in the Harmonious Light's dining area, hoping to learn more about these strange beings from the death world. The cultural exchange began innocently enough. Dr. Okafor was explaining human medical practices to the ship's medical officer when she mentioned her childhood in Nigeria. "I grew up during the rainy season floods," she said casually while eating. "Every year the rivers would overflow and we'd have to evacuate to higher ground, sometimes for weeks at a time." The Valari medical officer nearly choked on his drink. "Floods that last for weeks? How did your people survive?" "We adapted. Built houses on stilts, learned to preserve food that wouldn't spoil in high humidity, developed medicine that worked in contaminated water conditions. It wasn't easy, but it made us stronger." Across the table, Sergeant Maria Santos was sharing her own stories with Engineer Vexel. "The hurricane that hit when I was 12 was a Category 5, winds over 200 kilometers per hour, storm surge that put 3 meters of water in the streets." Vexel's skin turned a pale shade of blue. "A Category 5 hurricane would destroy our entire civilization. How many of your people died?" "In our area?" "Nobody. We had good warning systems and strong shelters. My family wrote it out in our house's safe room. Took 3 days for the storm to pass, then another week to clear the debris." You stayed in the storm zone during such an event?" Santos shrugged. "Where else would we go? It was our home. After the storm passed, we cleaned up and rebuilt. Stronger than before." The aliens exchanged worried glances. These humans spoke of surviving disasters that would end entire planets as if they were minor inconveniences. Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka joined the conversation, setting down her meal tray. "Sorry I'm late. I was helping your engineer understand our power coupling design." Lieutenant Tanaka, Captain Zeltar said carefully, your colleagues have been telling us about the natural disasters on your world. Surely these events are rare. Tanaka laughed. Rare? I grew up in Japan, near Mount Fuji. We had earthquake drills in school every week. Small tremors were so common we barely noticed them. The big earthquake when I was 16 registered 7.2 on our scale. 7.2? Nimba whispered. That would crack our planet's crust. It did crack some things, Tanaka admitted, but our buildings are designed for it. We lost some old structures, but the new construction held up fine. That's when I decided to become an engineer. I wanted to build things that could survive anything Earth threw at them. The meal continued with increasingly shocking revelations about human resilience. The aliens learned that humans routinely lived in areas with active volcanoes, deadly wildlife, and extreme weather. What terrified them most was how casually the humans discussed these threats. "What do you eat on your world?" asked the ship's nutritionist, hoping for a safer topic. Commander. Rodriguez pulled out his personal meal pack. This is standard fleet rations. Beef jerky, dried fruit, protein bars, water purification tablets. Beef jerky. Preserved meat from cattle. Large herbivores we domesticated for food. The nutritionist examined the dark strips of meat. These animals, how large? Average cow weighs about 500 kilograms. Several aliens gasped. The largest domesticated animal in cooperative space weighed less than 20 kilograms. And you hunt creatures of this size for food? We don't hunt cattle, Rodriguez explained. We raise them on farms. For hunting, we go after deer, elk, sometimes bear. Bear? Vexel's voice cracked. Omnivorous predators, usually 200-400 kilograms. Good meat if you can bring one down cleanly. Dr. Okafor added, the protein bars contain fish extract, deep, sea fish from the abyssal zones of our oceans. You harvest food from the deep ocean? The pressure zones that would crush most spacecraft? Fishing boats handle it fine. Good business, actually. Captain Zeltar realized his crew was staring at the humans with something approaching horror. These beings casually consumed apex predators and spoke of living alongside natural disasters that would destroy galactic civilization. Perhaps, he said weakly, you could tell us about your planet's gentler aspects? Santos brightened. Oh, Earth is beautiful. I love hiking in the mountains. Nothing like climbing a good peak to watch the sunrise. Mountains can be peaceful, Zeltar agreed hopefully. Well, you have to watch out for avalanches, rock slides, altitude sickness, predators, sudden weather changes, hypothermia. The captain's hope died. Rodriguez pulled out his personal tablet. Here, let me show you some pictures from home. The screen displayed images that made the aliens question their understanding of habitable worlds. Massive storm systems swirling over continents, lightning strikes illuminating landscapes, volcanoes erupting in spectacular displays of molten rock, ocean waves that towered higher than most buildings. This is considered beautiful on your world? Nimba asked faintly. Absolutely, Rodriguez said with genuine enthusiasm. This shot is from Hurricane Isabel. I was aboard a research vessel studying storm formations. Incredible natural power. You flew into a hurricane? Voluntarily? Best way to understand them. We've learned that the more we study dangerous phenomena, the better we can predict and survive them. The cultural exchange continued for hours, each revelation more stunning than the last. The aliens learned that humans considered sharks, lions, and venomous snakes to be natural wildlife rather than extinction-level threats. They heard about sports that involved throwing oneself off cliffs with fabric wings or racing machines, at speeds that would be impossible on most worlds. Your people seem to actively seek danger, observed Captain Zeltar. We call it adventure, Tanaka replied. Life's too short to play it safe all the time. But surely your government protects citizens from such risks. The humans exchanged amused glances. Our governments mostly just make sure we have proper safety equipment and training, Santos explained. Free will is pretty important to us. If someone wants to climb a mountain or surf during a storm, that's their choice. As the evening progressed, the aliens began to understand something profound about their rescuers. These humans hadn't become strong despite their dangerous world. They had become strong because of it. Every challenge had been met with innovation, adaptation, and an unbreakable refusal to surrender to circumstance. "I have one more question," Captain Zeltar said as the meal ended. "With all these dangers on your world, how do you find time for art, science, culture?" Dr. Okafor smiled. "Facing mortality every day makes you appreciate beauty more, not less. When you know life is precious, you work harder to fill it with meaning. Our greatest achievements come from our worst challenges," added Rodriguez. "We reached for the stars because Earth taught us that standing still means extinction. We developed advanced medicine because we needed to heal quickly from injuries. We created strong communities because survival depended on helping each other." The Volari captain sat quietly for a long moment, processing everything he had learned. These humans were indeed from a death world, but they hadn't become monsters. They had become something far more remarkable, a species that transformed every threat into an opportunity for growth. "Commander Rodriguez," he said finally, "I believe we have much to learn from your people, and we have much to learn from you," Rodriguez replied. "Peaceful exploration, elegant engineering, cooperative government. Earth could benefit from cooperative wisdom just as much as you might benefit from human resilience." As the two crews continued talking into the night, bonds formed that neither species had expected. The gentle, cooperative beings began to see strength not as brutality, but as the capacity to endure and protect. The humans discovered that their aggressive survival instincts could serve a greater purpose than just personal survival. They could be guardians for those who needed protection. None of them realized that they would soon need every bit of that strength. The peaceful evening was shattered when alarms began blaring throughout both ships. Commander Rodriguez was the first to respond, his military training taking over instantly. "What's the situation?" he demanded, speaking into his communication device. Admiral Chen's voice crackled back immediately. "Jake, we have incoming hostiles. Multiple vessels approaching fast from the outer system. Get your people back to the Indomitable now." Captain Zeltar's face went pale blue as his own crew reported from the bridge. "Captain, our long-range sensors detect a fleet of unknown vessels. Configuration matches Kethvar Dominion warships." "Kethvar?" Rodriguez asked as they hurried toward the docking port. "Aggressive species," Zeltar explained, his voice tight with fear. "They conquer or destroy any civilization they encounter. They have been expanding into this sector for months. They must have been tracking us." Rodriguez's expression hardened. "How many ships?" 37 confirmed vessels, including 6 heavy cruisers and 2 dreadnoughts, reported Nimba over the communication system. "Commander, you must flee with your fleet immediately. The Kethvar do not take prisoners." "How long until they reach us?" Rodriguez asked. 20 minutes at current speed," came the reply. Rodriguez activated his communicator. "Admiral, you heard that. 37 hostiles inbound. What are your orders?" Admiral Chen's response was immediate and firm. "All ships maintain position. Form defensive screen around the damaged vessel." Both Rodriguez and Captain Zeltar stopped walking. "Admiral," Rodriguez said carefully, "did you copy the count? 37 enemy ships against our 8? "I heard correctly, Commander. We don't abandon people in need." Captain Zeltar grabbed Rodriguez's arm. "You cannot do this! Your ships will be destroyed! Our vessel is nearly repaired! We can all flee together!" Rodriguez looked at the alien, Captain with genuine confusion. "Captain, if we run, what happens to the next research ship that runs into these Kethvar? They will be captured or destroyed." "Exactly. And the ship after that, and the one after that. Running doesn't solve the problem, it just postpones it. But you cannot possibly win against such odds." Rodriguez smiled grimly. "Sir, with respect, you've never seen humans fight." As they reached the docking port, Captain Zeltar made a desperate appeal. "Commander, your people have shown us kindness and courage. Do not throw away your lives for strangers you met only hours ago." "Captain," Rodriguez replied as he prepared to return to his ship. "A few hours ago, you were strangers. Now you're people who need help. That's all we need to know." Aboard the Indomitable, the crew moved with practiced efficiency. Admiral Chen stood on her bridge, watching the tactical display as her 8 ships formed a protective formation around the harmonious light. It wasn't a formation designed to win. It was designed to protect innocent lives for as long as possible. Admiral called Lieutenant Commander Jackson from his station. The HFY fleet has dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They're moving into attack formation. What's their configuration? Classic dominance pattern. They're not expecting resistance. They think they're dealing with one damaged research vessel. Chen nodded. Good. Let them keep thinking that until the last possible moment. All ships, maintain communication silence. Weapons cold until my command. On the harmonious light, Captain Zeltar watched in disbelief as the human fleet prepared for battle. The 8 ships looked impossibly small compared to the approaching armada, but they showed no signs of retreat. Captain, Vexel whispered from his station, the humans are not running. They truly intend to fight. I know, Zeltar replied quietly. I am beginning to understand what kind of species we have encountered. The HFY fleet approached in perfect formation, their black ships bristling with weapons. The lead vessel was massive, easily 3 times the size of Admiral Chen's flagship. Its hull bore the scars of countless battles, each mark a testament to conquered civilizations. Unknown vessels, came a transmission in harsh, guttural tones. You are interfering with a HFY operation. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. Admiral Chen waited a full 30 seconds before responding. When she did, her voice was calm and professional. HFY fleet. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Force. The vessel under our protection is under the jurisdiction of the Galactic Cooperative, a peaceful organization. You will withdraw from this system immediately. Cruel laughter echoed across the communication channel. Terran? We have heard whispers of your kind, Deathworld primitives with delusions of strength. You face the might of the HFY Dominion. Surrender now, and we will grant you quick deaths. Negative, Chen replied simply. Last warning, withdraw now. Admiral, her tactical officer called out. Enemy fleet is moving to attack formation. They're not taking us seriously. Their mistake, Chen said quietly. Then louder. All ships, battle stations. Remember, we're not here to conquer territory or capture resources. We're here to protect innocent people. Make every shot count. The first HFY attack came exactly as expected. A massive barrage, designed to overwhelm and terrify their opponents into surrender. Dozens of energy beams and missiles streaked toward the human formation. What happened next shocked both the HFY and the watching cooperative crew. The human ships didn't just evade the attack, they seemed to dance through it. Each vessel moved in perfect coordination with the others, creating gaps in their formation that let enemy fire pass harmlessly through, then closing ranks to present a unified defensive front. Impossible! Breathed the HFY commander. How did they... His question was answered when the human fleet returned fire. 8 ships unleashed a coordinated barrage that struck with surgical precision. Instead of trying to destroy enemy vessels outright, the humans targeted specific systems, weapons arrays, shield generators, propulsion systems. They're disabling rather than destroying, observed Captain Zeltar in amazement. Even in combat, they seek to minimize casualties. The battle quickly became a lesson in tactical superiority. The HFY had superior numbers and firepower, but they fought like most galactic species, with predictable formations and standard tactics. The humans fought like predators from a death world, adapting their strategy in real time, exploiting every weakness, turning their enemies' strengths against them. When the HFY tried to overwhelm them with numbers, the humans scattered into individual attack runs that confused enemy targeting systems. When the enemy tried to match their maneuverability, the humans reformed into a tight defensive formation that concentrated their firepower. How are they doing this? Demanded the HFY admiral, as another of his cruisers went dark, its weapon systems completely disabled. His tactical officer studied the human fleet's movements with growing respect. Sir, they're not fighting like any species we've encountered. Every ship seems to know exactly what the others will do. Their coordination is perfect. Then break their coordination. Target their command ship. 3 heavy cruisers concentrated their fire on the Indomitable. The human flagship took massive damage. Its hull breached in multiple places, but it continued fighting. More than that, the other human ships immediately adjusted their formation to protect their wounded flagship without being ordered to do so. Admiral, called Chief Medical Officer Patterson over the ship's internal communication. "We have casualties on decks, 4 and 7. Hull breach in the port section." "Can you handle it?" Chen asked, never taking her eyes off the tactical display. "We're handling it. Keep fighting." The Indomitable shuddered under another barrage, but its return fire was as accurate as ever. A Kethavar heavy cruiser suddenly found its main engines disabled, sending it drifting helplessly through space. "Sir," the Kethavar tactical officer reported with growing alarm, "we've lost primary systems on 7 ships. The humans seem to be specifically targeting critical systems without destroying the vessels." The admiral snarled in frustration. "Are they toying with us?" "No, sir. I think they're trying to capture us." For the first time in his military career, the Kethavar admiral felt something he had never experienced before: uncertainty. These humans fought with a skill and coordination that defied explanation, but they were clearly restraining themselves. Instead of destroying his fleet, they were systematically disabling it. "All ships," he commanded, "ram the enemy vessels." 6 months later, Captain Zeltar stood before the Grand Assembly of the Galactic Cooperative on the beautiful world of Thessia Prime. The massive chamber held representatives from dozens of species, all gathered to hear his report about humanity's first contact with galactic civilization. The chamber itself was a work of art, with crystal walls that filtered natural sunlight into gentle rainbow patterns. Floating platforms held delegates from worlds across the galaxy, each species represented in their most formal attire. The peaceful atmosphere reflected everything the cooperative stood for: harmony, understanding, and the pursuit of knowledge. "Honored delegates," Zeltar began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's perfect acoustics, "I stand before you today to recommend that humanity be invited to join our cooperative as a full-member species." A murmur ran through the assembly. In the gallery, Zeltar could see the former Kethavar admiral, now calling himself Ambassador Krextar. The once proud warrior wore simple robes of peace, his scarred face showing genuine remorse for his species' past actions. "The humans," Zeltar continued, "are indeed from what we classify as a death world. Their planet Earth is harsh beyond our understanding, filled with dangers that would destroy most civilizations. But rather than creating monsters, these challenges forged a species that embodies our highest ideals." Delegate Morthak from the Centauri Council raised a tentacle. "Captain Zeltar, our intelligence reports suggest human military capabilities far exceed those of any known species. How can we be certain they will not become conquerors?" Zeltar smiled. "Honored delegate, I have seen humans fight. They could have destroyed the Kethavar fleet completely. Instead, they chose to disable enemy ships and preserve life. Even in combat, they showed mercy to those who would have shown them none." "Tell us about their technology," requested Delegate Yathana from the Scientific Coalition. "Their technology is remarkable not for its elegance, but for its reliability. Where we build for beauty and efficiency, they build for survival. Every system has backups. Every design assumes the worst possible conditions. They learn this necessity from their world, where failure means death." Ambassador Krextar stood slowly in the gallery. "May I speak, honored assembly?" The chamber fell silent. Former enemies addressing the cooperative was unprecedented, but these were unprecedented times. "I led the attack on the human fleet," Krextar said, his voice carrying shame and wonder in equal measure. "I expected to find weak prey and easy conquest. Instead, I found warriors who fought not for glory or territory, but to protect strangers they had never met." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "When they defeated us, they offered medical aid to our wounded. When they captured our ships, they repaired our life support systems. They turned our empire's greatest defeat into our first lesson in mercy." Delegate Morthak leaned forward. "And your people have truly changed their ways." "The Kethavar Dominion no longer exists," Krextar replied, firmly. "We have dissolved our military conquest structure and established the Kethavar Republic, dedicated to peaceful cooperation. We have learned from the humans that true strength comes from protecting others, not dominating them." Captain Zeltar nodded approvingly. "The transformation of the Kethavar is perhaps the best evidence of humanity's character. They did not simply defeat their enemies. They showed them a better way to live. A new voice spoke from the high platform where the assembly's eldest members sat. Elder Vashti, ancient even by her species' long-lived standards, had witnessed the rise and fall of dozens of civilizations. "Captain Zeltar," she said, her voice thin but clear, "you speak of human military prowess and mercy, but what of their culture? Are they compatible with our values of peaceful coexistence?" Zeltar had prepared for this question. "Elder Vashti, I have spent months studying human society through their cultural exchanges with our crew. They are a species that values individual freedom while maintaining strong community bonds. They celebrate diversity while working toward common goals. They have art, music, literature, and philosophy that rival any civilization in our records. But they come from a violent world," protested Delegate Cormin from the Pacifist Alliance. "Yes," Zeltar agreed, "and that violence taught them the value of peace. They know the cost of conflict better than any of us, which is why they work so hard to prevent it." Admiral Chen had been sitting quietly in the guest section, wearing her dress uniform but remaining silent throughout the debate. Now Elder Vashti addressed her directly. "Admiral Chen, you command a military force from a world of warriors. How do we know humanity will not bring war to our peaceful galaxy?" Chen stood slowly, her bearing respectful but confident. "Honored Elder, Earth taught us that war is sometimes necessary, but never desirable. We build strong militaries not because we love conflict, but because we've learned that being prepared for trouble is the best way to prevent it. And if conflicts arise between cooperative members, then we'll do what we've always done: protect those who need protection and work to find solutions that let everyone go home safely to their families." Elder Vashti studied the human admiral for a long moment. "You speak of families. Tell us about human society." Chen's formal demeanor softened slightly. "We're social creatures, Elder. We form bonds not just with our own kind, but with anyone who needs friendship. My crew includes people from every continent on Earth, all working together for a common cause. That's how humans operate. We're stronger when we include others rather than exclude them." Delegate Yathana had been reviewing data on her personal display. "Admiral, our analysis of your ship design shows massive redundancy in critical systems. This suggests your people expect regular combat operations." "No," Chen replied. "It suggests we expect regular disasters. Solar flares, asteroid strikes, system failures, hostile environments. Earth taught us that the universe is actively trying to kill you, so you'd better be prepared. Those same design principles that keep us alive in space battles also keep us alive during rescue operations, scientific expeditions, and exploration missions." The debate continued for hours, with delegates raising concerns about human military capability, cultural compatibility, and the precedent of accepting a species from such an aggressive world. But gradually, the evidence overwhelmed the objections. Captain Zeltar presented detailed records of human behavior during the crisis. Dr. Okafor had saved 3 alien lives using techniques no cooperative physician had ever attempted. Engineer Thompson had strengthened Valari technology beyond its original specifications. Most importantly, the humans had risked their lives for strangers without any expectation of reward. "Honored delegates," Zeltar concluded, "humanity offers our cooperative something we have never had. Guardians who are strong enough to protect us, but wise enough to know when not to fight. They bring the hard-won wisdom of a species that survived by learning that the strong must protect the weak." The vote was closer than expected, but ultimately unanimous. Humanity would be welcomed into the Galactic Cooperative as full members, with all the rights and responsibilities that entailed. As the assembly dissolved into celebration, Ambassador Krextar approached Admiral Chen in the corridor outside the chamber. "Admiral," he said formally, "I wanted to thank you personally for showing my people a better path." Chen smiled. "Ambassador, you chose that path yourselves. We just showed you it existed." "The Kethvar have a saying now," Krextar continued. "When facing difficulty, we ask, what would a human do? The answer is always to help others while refusing to surrender." 6 months later, the first joint cooperative human patrol fleet departed on a mission to investigate reports of piracy in the Outer Rim territories. The fleet included ships from a dozen member species, but the humans insisted on taking point position, not because they were eager for combat, but because their ships were best equipped to handle whatever dangers they might encounter. Captain Zeltar commanded the cooperative contingent from his newly refitted Harmonious Light, now equipped with human-designed backup systems and emergency protocols. Beside him, Admiral Chen commanded the human squadron, her ships ready for anything the galaxy might throw at them. "You know," Zeltar said over the communication link as they prepared to enter faster-than-light travel, "when we first met your people, we thought they were monsters from a death world." Chen laughed. "What do you think of us now?" "Now I think Earth didn't create monsters at all. It created guardians, and the galaxy is a safer place because of it." As the combined fleet jumped to light speed, heading toward whatever challenges awaited them, the crews worked together with the easy cooperation of people who had learned to trust each other completely. The age of the Death World protectors had truly begun, and the peaceful species of the galaxy could rest a little easier knowing that someone was watching over them. In the depths of space, other dangers stirred and other threats emerged. But for the first time in galactic history, the response would not be fear and retreat. It would be the steady advance of ships built for survival, crewed by beings who had learned that the strongest choice was always to stand between danger and those who needed protection. The Deathworlders had emerged, and they had come not as conquerors, but as guardians of the peace.